Can you talk about some of the specific challenges that you're seeing unfolding in our region now? Um, that you're saying these are my words, but pregnant moment.
Hmm.
Can you talk about what we're on the precipice of, or what's already unfolding from your vantage point?
Yeah. So since you used the word pregnant, I'm going to share my favorite quote from Dr. Monica Sharma and Radical Transformational Leadership Training. And I think a lot of people will relate to this. Um, she often says, um, confusion is a very pregnant space
Mm,
for emergence and discovery.
mm,
And we're experiencing a time in our community's, history, evolution, development, where there's a lot of confusion
yeah.
because all of those dynamics that I described that are historical, that were already happening here, have now been complicated by everything that's happening at the federal level and the ripple effects of how that's going to, impact us.
Mm,
So, some of the things that are happening at the federal level that are already affecting us are, for example, um, you know, immigration legal services that were being funded with federal support. All of those resources have been paused at the federal level. Importantly, emergency food and shelter, and USDA support for food banks, uh, and um, and food pantries. That's also been paused,
mm,
um, to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars.
mm,
What's currently being debated, um, and is the significant reduction in SNAP benefits, so formerly known as food stamps, and Medicaid benefits, so medical care and assistance to the most indigent people, and that's 100% going to affect thousands and thousands of people in our region. Do you know who it's also going to affect?
mm,
Their employers.
mm,
And so, a myth is that folks who are on food stamps and folks who are on Medicaid are not employed. In United Way's research, not true. 96% of people who are struggling to make ends meet, according to the United Ways of California real cost measure, are employed. At least
mm,
one person in the household is
mm,
employed. So, working people, they're working, but they're underemployed. They're undercompensated for whatever they do,
mm,
right? And often what's happening is they're working in spaces where part of the employer's way of making ends meet is they're externalizing costs,
mm,
right? They're keeping the wages low. Their employees qualify for food stamps and they qualify for Medicaid. So that's how they're making it work.
mm,
Well, when those benefits go away, those employees are going to struggle that much more,
mm,
and it'll show up in the employers, in the employees' capacity, capability, reliability, to show up for work.
mhm.
So that's going to unfold if those reductions happen, and and it's unconscionable to me that the federal budget would be balancing itself literally on the backs of the most vulnerable people
Mm.
in our country, but right now that's what's being debated, and somehow that 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 makes sense to those folks. Not here,
Mm.
and so we've got to show up as a community. This, for those organizations and those individuals in our community who are definitely going to be adversely affected. Seniors, um, single moms, single dads. 50% of single dads, 70% of single moms struggle to make ends meet. and close to 20% of seniors struggle to make ends meet. And if there are changes at the federal level in Social Security, more seniors are going to struggle too. So, so that is our moment. That's why it's important for us to show up at this moment. Is, you know, this system that we've created, flawed as it was, when it evaporates, assuming that's what's effectively happening, in order for us to kind of keep moving forward, we need to be as whole as we can be, and that only happens when we show up for one another. You know, in our kindness, in our compassion, in our intention to build community and resilience.